Hi, everyone, and welcome to Two Minds, One Decade, 23 verse 33. In today's session, we're going to go through the generational divide between two people, me, Joshua Haines, who's 33, Alessandro Capriati, if I pronounce that correctly, 23. We both met here in the United Arab Emirates at our co-working, co-living space. And today we're going to dive into some of the generational differences as we realize that our perspectives, our thoughts, and our processes are very different. And when we think of that, it's about like generational differences as well. So, Alessandro, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, sure. Thank you, Joshua. I'm Alessandro. I'm 22 years old, and I come from a small city in Italy. Okay, nobody knows about it. Like usually people, when I tell them I'm from Italy, they think, oh, Milan, Naples, Madonna. I'm from Bari. And it's usually like a very poor city with not a lot of economic opportunities. At least that's what they said. Okay, probably it's not like that. But
whereabouts in Italy? South, north?
It's from the south. It's like it's near the sea.
Yeah,
and
near the sea.
Yes, and about...
Which sea?
The sea. And about 2 years ago, I decided to not continue my university process, okay? Because like in Italy, we have university the last 3 years. And against what everybody told me, I decided to quit university and not continue my 3 years process. And now I am in Dubai. And I've opened my company. And in my life, I'm doing exactly what I love until now. I'm traveling the world. And I define myself as a digital nomad. So what do? My grandmother used to say to all of her friends that I am a hacker, which is basically true. I am hired by big corporation to hack defense systems. Okay, that's what I've always done in my life. Sometimes.
So when you say defense systems, you mean the defense systems of their own websites and their own workplace infrastructures?
Yes, correct. Yeah. So people build their system and I try to hack them. So before I was doing that illegally. But but now I decide actually to go on the right side of the spectrum and become an actual legit business person. Okay,
I have some questions about that one.
No, I don't want to touch that. Okay, but now what about you, Joshua?
Amazing. So interesting insights there, and I can't wait to jump in with some more questions. So I'm 33. I've from Australia. I was born and raised in the capital, and so often people will say Melbourne or Sydney. No, that's Canberra. It's a big country town, as we like to say, or the bush capital. About 400. It has about 400 people in. 400,000 people, not 400 people, and it's between Melbourne and Sydney. I grew up. I have a bit of a diverse background. Grew up as someone raised in public housing, my father in a wheelchair, dropped out of school, so didn't even finish secondary or high school, didn't go to university, and started working at a very young age. First time I started paying taxes was when I was 14, but I had jobs before that illegally. So we've all done some illegal kind of activities. And then, worked my way up. I was one of the youngest people on an extended leadership team.
Oh, wow.
For the largest telco in Australia. I've worked for government departments such as defence,
This was at 14 years old.
No, not 14. This is my career coming up to where I am now. And in the last 5+ years, I've been in the e-commerce space as a senior partner manager across the APAC region for some US SaaS companies in the shipping space. So Talking Ship with Josh. You'll see my Instagram handle. I think it's Talking Ship with Josh or Joshua.
I have no idea.
We'll figure that out. So yeah, I think the purpose of this is we thought it would be exciting to ask each other 10 questions in total, one for each gap. And so you've got 5 questions, I've got 5. And why don't you ask the first question? We haven't seen each other's questions, mind you. So you've been bugging me to give you a hint of what types of questions I was writing or anything. And I said no, because you wanted to see whether or not you're on the right track. And I was like, nope, because that's the whole point. We got to see how our minds work differently.
First of all, I want to tell you a joke. This was this is one of the most terrible joke I ever made. Okay, how do you call a macho chicken? A chicken that is very strong, like the strongest chicken of all.
A macho chicken.
A macho chicken.
Macho chicken.
Yes.
What's a macho chicken?
A mech chicken.
Oh, a mech chicken.
Yes.
Wait, are we talking about the burger?
Yes. There was
the McDonald's burger.
Yes. Yeah.
So how do we call the mac chicken?
No, the macho chicken, and it's a mech chicken. Okay. The joke was terrible. Okay.
What was the joke?
It's because there is mech that rhymes with macho, and so
macho chicken.
Yeah, mech chicken. Can you see that? But anyway.
All right.
Anyway, okay. So
ding ding.
Okay, so the reason why I'm so interested in your persona, okay, since I've met you, is that you have brought a new perspective to my life. Because before meeting you, I was so convinced about my capabilities, and then you came to me and said, "Oh, you have a big ego," and that completely destroyed me and made me realize, okay, maybe it might be right. Maybe there is something that I might have missed during my 23 years. Okay, so I want to start with a very easy question. Okay, easy, solid, basic question. If you were to see yourself as a 23 years old, knowing your situation, so you have mentioned your difficult situation from your past, okay? So knowing your situation and seeing you back then, so you are now Joshua 23, you see Joshua 23, the little Joshua. What would you tell him that could avoid some of his suffering during the way and could also increase the happiness of your now persona? So I'm not talking about strictly related business things, but more broadly, what would have made you more happier than now?
Yeah, good question. I have a similar question. But no, I think that's a really good question. I think if I could go back and know what I have over these years, I think one of the first things that it would be would definitely be around not worrying too much about what everyone else thinks, because everyone else is going to have an opinion, and doing what your heart tells you to do and what your gut says to do. I delayed a lot of things trying to please a lot of people or doing the right things for what was what their right thing was, or what was their biases or what their restrictions were. And whilst I could take in a lot of advice, and some people would say that I couldn't, it is a lot of it's around living life how you want to live it, and in the freedom of not trying to put your values onto everyone else. You shouldn't do that. The other thing I would say is just do it. The Nike kind of concept in that avenue is, I wish I had done a lot of the things I had done that I know now, and just gone out and do it. And with that, fail fast. I think failure is such a beautiful thing, and I have failed so many times. I've lost jobs. I have moved to doing different activities and different projects, and they haven't succeeded. And I was so fear of that failure. And now I just think the faster you fail and the quicker that you can learn those lessons, because when you do fail and when you take the time to actually understand why you failed, you're able to overcome that the next time quicker. And if I had known that at 23, I would have made so many more mistakes and been so prepared to make all those mistakes and done them. I would have done a decade of mistakes in 10 years.
Okay, so taking advice from people, it's something very easy to do. Okay, you have told me, you have suggested me a lot of things that I could improve about myself, but actually taking them in consideration, making them yours and act on that suggestion is very difficult. So do you think you would have listened to them in the first place?
I don't think I would have, but I also feel like that's, I definitely don't think, and because there was many people's advice that I didn't, I was stubborn, young and egotistical just like you.
Thank you. Yes, I agree.
And I think, you know, the thing that I learned, and when I look back at that, is I look back and I sit there and I go, yep, those people were right. Billy L, you know, who I worked with.
That's Billy.
Billy Gurney, sorry, which was a colleague of mine who used to mentor me. El Keynes as well. Luigi Sabello, David Russell, all these people who had mentored me at these times, had given me so much advice where my ego and my pride would get in the way of that.
Could you choose one?
What do you mean, one example?
Yes, one example.
So Billy actually said to me once when I was leaving Telstra, and there was a bit of a heated debate that I was having with the team that was taken over from my kind of position. And he had said, don't burn your bridges, because you never know when someone may be in a better or a different position than you, or where you may need them at some stage in the future. And my stubborn, egotistical person was like, well, if I burn the bridges, luckily I can swim. Because I'll swim across to the other side. And he goes, yeah, but that could be filled with sharks and crocodiles and whichever. And I was like, well, you know, risk to take. And the point being is, if I had listened to that kind of advice, and which is very true, whilst I was stubborn and egotistical and didn't care about ruining the relationship with the other people within on that side, those people could at any stage be an investor that I'm walking into now. They could be anything like that, and they're going to have that perception, that reality of me from back then. Even though I may have changed over the time, they're not going to care. They're going to remember the Josh that their last interaction was with. And so I think it's so important. And if I had known that, and now I live this philosophy of 1% better all the time and everything, I would much rather have held on to that and listened to those advice, because like he said, there could be sharks and crocodiles in there, and having to swim across it is so much harder.
Which is funny, because that's one of the first advice that you ever gave me in the first place. I remember 1 week ago, we went to this conference, and I started introducing myself to the people that I know as Batman, right? Okay, so the reason that I do it is more complex than how it seems superficially, okay? But yeah.
All right, we're going to move on. Okay. We've got one question down and we're 15 minutes.
All right. Okay.
So I'm going to ask my first question to you, which is actually quite similar. So it's very interesting, because my first question that I wrote down was, imagine it's 10 years from now and you're sitting in my seat. What does your life look like, and what story would you tell?
One of the most important things that I'm trying to achieve 10 years from now is to reach a level of happiness that is acceptable for me. In my life, in 10 years old, I want to be a person that is loved by others, that is kind, that is generous, that still has his friends on the side that supports and love him. Maybe I have some, I don't know, maybe I've started a relationship during the way, okay? Still have a strong connection with my family, and especially having no regrets at all about the business that I'm trying to achieve. So one of the biggest dream goal of mine is to finish and complete the project that I've been working on for so long over these 4 years. I met this amazing person, which, by the way, is from Australia too. And
me, honey.
No, it's not you. Luckily. And I've met him over Discord, and since when we have started this big project about anti-bird protections. So in 10 years in 10 years from now, I would like to see the end, or at least have reached a point of this project where I'm very happy about the results. So I was very scared about starting my own business. That's because at the moment I am very satisfied with my job. People tell me in Italy that they dream about having a job similar to mine that I have right now, that allow me to travel the world, to see different culture. And at the same point, I'm not fully satisfied with what I have, which could be because I am delusional, because I am seeking for an impossible unhappiness in the future. But I would like to see the end of this.
Interesting. I love it when you lean back into your chair and say that, because you get very tense and move forward. But
it's because I express my emotion when I try. Okay.
You're Italian. Remember that. No, very interesting. I think your focus there is a lot on your current business. I'm going to ask one follow-up question, and I want a 30-second answer. Mm-hmm. Is what happens if that business fails?
I will surely be sad, because that's basically the baby that I've been growing for at least half of my life until now. Okay, it's not half, but okay. But I wouldn't care that much, because at least I know I had put the work, and I had put the most amount of effort that I could have ever done until that point. So,
well, I think you'd have just a different baby. Just don't get the pot one.
It's not that easy.
Yeah.
It's not.
All right, your question. Your second question for me.
Okay, so this comes from observing a sort of altruistic behavior from your end. I think you really care about helping the other people. You really care about sharing the love that maybe you've missed during your life. I don't know, I'm just speculating. So the question is, what is the purpose of sharing love? What is for you that motivates you into helping the other people? So I've read a book a few years back. It was from the philosopher Russell, which said, you can only be happy if you find a job that is able to help the others. So the question for you is, why do you choose to help other people? And do you think that this statement is true?
I do think that statement is true. I think, and it's the first time that I've heard it, I think the reality is you're probably not wrong too much. I did live and grow up in a world where a psychologist said it to me perfectly, is when I was 6, my father ended up in a wheelchair from a freak brainstem hemorrhage. And the support as a 6-year-old, when you're a child, you grow up with everyone giving you all the attention, everyone for birthdays, parties, everything around that, and everyone cares for the kids. But the roles reverse, where my father ended up needing to be cared for, and we had to help my mum do all of that, whether it was helping shower or getting the clothes, or when he would fall out of the chair or anything like that. And he could speak, and everything seemed fine up there, but it's more the physical stuff. So growing up, it is that challenge where you're in an environment where it wasn't about me anymore. And it hadn't been about that. But then the opportunities that I got were, everything was harder to fight for. I had to deal with the pressures of school. I had to deal with the pressures of not coming from a family of money, not coming to be able to afford to go to university, and everything that I had to do extra harder. And I think that gives me a tenacity and a resilience that I've built, which comes with a whole bunch of risk at the same time. On top of that, the reasons why I do everything that I do is because I've seen how corporations and corporate greed and government, systemic governmental issues, and I've worked for government departments, impact individuals in these scenarios and often take advantage of people. And so when you see someone who is constantly trying to get ahead, constantly fighting to do that, which is what I've been doing my whole entire life, you just want to be able to create an ease of being able to do that. And I'll give you an example. Starting a business and going into doing a business, you don't get the knowledge or the connections or the networks that someone else might have when you're surrounded with business owners or when you've got those circles and they can go out and do that. When you're surrounded in your family and the people that you're surrounded with, and they happen to be people who just might never have had a business or are also, when I look at my dad's side of the family, a lot of them do drugs and alcohol and all of those kind of things. When you're surrounded by that, that's what you kind of start to think of is the right thing and everything. And even when you want to break away from that, it's so difficult to find people to help you break away from that. And then everyone has an end goal. Everyone has a reason to do that. People want to coach you for shares, or they want to coach you into doing something that you want that's going to benefit them at the end of the day. Or they want you to pay for a course that gives them an unbiased opinion and doesn't, box you into that. So a lot of my mission and my values, and through the companies that I'm building, Unity Sense is obviously one that I've built. They solve problems. This one solved a problem within the perfume industry where it didn't make sense when I was going and looking for oil-based perfumes that didn't have alcohol in them because I had psoriasis, but it didn't make sense when I was going there and they're asking me, is it for your mum or, your sister or your girlfriend or whichever? I'm like, well, it doesn't matter. A smell's a smell. It's not a gender. So that solved that problem. And then when I went into AI Army, I was looking to solve the problem where it bridges the gaps in the AI systems. And even though that's not going to progress in that business venture, but there is other ones, it was solving a problem that would have helped a whole bunch of people who were willing to go out and do that. And I think at the end of the day, you have all these massive corporations who just take money off the back of people. When you look at the hair industry or dog grooming or anything else like that, where the products that they sell, that they say, hey, sell this, we'll give you X amount, and all this kind of profit, it's nowhere near the profit that they could be getting had they done it themselves, but they don't know how to do it. So I think a long-winded answer to the question.
You want to you want to give back sort of power, a redemption to the people that are exploited.
It's not redemption, it's meritocracy.
Okay.
If we look at it from that perspective, we want to destabilize the current value chain that values all of those massive corporations like BlackRock and Vanguard that are making billions of dollars to do nothing. Like, what do? They don't do anything. They invest here and then they tell people over here to do this, which values their investment over there. Oh, there's an opioid crisis. Sweet. Let's go to pharmacies and let's go make sure that they're pushing those products because we're making money off that. Cool. There's a war going on. Let's hike the prices of ammunition and everything and benefit from that because that's what they do. And so they manage that kind of benefit. So what we want to be able to do is go, hey, you're the hair salon or you're the barbershop or you're the dog groomer. Why don't you have your products? Why are you giving and feeding them to make them bigger? So yeah, I think it's more, I do care about people. I want people to succeed and to be able to have the life that they choose to live. It doesn't mean it comes easy. You've still got to do the hard work, but at least there's certain barriers that are in place that shouldn't be there that need to be teared down.
Okay.
Anyway, moving on to my question, we're nearly halfway through. So if your life was a movie and the audience was hanging on to every scene, what do you think they'd be shouting at the screen for you to do next?
Quit my job. So I shouldn't say this because I hope my boss is never watching this podcast. I love my job completely.
Lean back from the mic. Don't get so passionate.
So right now I'm in a big dilemma of my life, in a sort of duality on my two sides that are fighting. One side, which is saying, make money. Quit your job and start a company, maybe at the expenses of the other people. The other side is more try to build something good for the creator of the humanity. Probably the audience would be split. Some people would say, "Oh, who cares about the others?" There is a lot of egoism in this world. Who cares about the others? Just make money. And the other side, maybe probably my friends, if they're watching this movie, are going to be like...
Movie.
Yeah, it was a movie, okay. Are going to be like, at the end, it doesn't matter if you are rich, if you're going to become someone successful. All that matters is that along the way, you have not run over people. You have not made people suffer. And I can give you a real life example of this. So my company that I would like to build specializes in fingerprinting software, which means I would be able to track the identity of people in the internet everywhere.
Yeah, so let's rephrase that for the audience.
Okay.
Fingerprinting software isn't It's a term that is used to track the identity of individuals and their use of the internet applications.
Correct. So if, for example, someone opens a browser page, so visit www.google.com, Google's try to track your identity through specific, we call them signals. So for example, your language, your IP location, everything is put into a database, and the output of this is the fingerprint. So why is it dangerous? Well, because if you give this to a Chinese government or the other governments, okay, they would be able to track you and decide what to do with this information. On the other end, it could be used
I want to say not just Chinese governments. The US would use this. Israel would use this. Australia would use this. Every other government that wants power and that pretends to be a democracy would use this. And the only real ones who would be open and honest about using it are those dictatorship type of countries, because everyone would know that they would use it.
Exactly. But on the other end, you could use it to stop criminals, to identify them and to track them down, which is something that I really want to achieve. I want to do good. And yes, this dilemma of doing good and doing bad has always been present in my life. So, I mean, the answer is it's split. But yeah, the common one is quit your job and start the company. Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, your question. We're halfway through time, but we're only at third question for you.
I have a question about success in general. So I think the reason why we are both successful individual
are we successful?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, yes, we are successful in the sense that successful is not $1 billion people. Successful is not the top 1% of the 1%. Success is people who...
Well, I think it's defined by what that individual defines himself as successful.
Correct. Yeah. But I believe this term in general has been it's been inflated, by all the standards that are right now. Okay, so that is not the question. The question is, I think success in both of our case has been driven by a traumatic experience. In my case, was because I was not the best kid in my class, in my high school. I did not have the best friends that I have right now. I was kind of bullied, which made me create a resentment towards myself. And as a consequence, the reason for my success is I want to prove myself and the others that I'm worth it. And in your case, it was something else. It was your entire family experience, everything that you mentioned before.
And school. I was bullied a lot at school too.
So you have two choices. You can make this trauma yours. You can create a symbiosis with your trauma. You can take in your hand and work with it. On the other hand, you can be controlled by your trauma. You can become a terrible person that is motivated by bad things. Do you think you can like the question is, do you think a person can be successful even without going through a bad experience in his life? Or it can be as motivated as we are to prove a point? I
think, well, yes, because everyone's got a different walk in life, right? And if you look at the challenges that we've dealt with on the spectrum of life and rich and royalty and non-rich and everything else, I would hate to be in the situation that, say, Prince Harry would have been in. Because whilst we think he's fortunate and that he's got money and that he has royal family or whichever and all of that, they've got a lifetime dedication. When you look at the Queen and what she was born into, she couldn't just get up and walk away and go, party and snort cocaine or do any of those kind of things, because she had the whole world watching her. And the mistakes that she had and the challenges that she would have lived in her life are very different to the challenges that we have lived. And that's why I think you touched on it very well just then, is it's how you either let it control you or you take control and deal with that trauma. So everyone has trauma in life. My trauma is unique to me. Your trauma is unique to you, even though there's similarities that can be drawn between that. However, it's if you become a victim of your trauma rather than a survivor of your trauma, and if you let that trauma dictate your actions rather than you acknowledge the lessons that you learned from that trauma, that you will then be able to excel at life. I think one of my barriers in my 20s was to sit there and allow my trauma to control me. And now I look back and I'm like, and I said this to my mum before I went to Dubai, and I had a very, deep, meaningful conversation, is I said, you don't need to apologize. The life that we lived, she was dealt with the cards that she was dealt with. And she's got nothing to be apologetic about. I said, I'm happy. I've lived, a very fruitful life, and I've learned these lessons that I wouldn't have to. But the key is to learn those lessons that the trauma is teaching you and to move in the right direction for that. But if you sit there and allow it to happen, there are celebrities that have drug addictions and who are put into those situations. Look at Justin Bieber at the moment and everything that he's going through with his mental health. Everyone wants to live his life, but no one knows what it's actually like behind the scenes. And so I think there's a fine line to understanding that what your trauma and my trauma are very different. There's no competition in what the trauma is. It's the lessons that you learn and how you progress and move on from that.
So your short answer is no. So in 30 seconds then, if not trauma, what motivates people? My answer to this is, I think, to give a meaning to our existence. What about your short answer?
No, I think it's influenced by trauma.
Okay.
So I do agree, but it's influenced about how you react to that trauma.
Okay.
So yes, I think 100% it's influenced by that trauma, but it's how you react to that, because it can be one end of the spectrum where you're going on a mission to avoid others from trying to do that, to the other end of the people took money from me, so I'm going to take money from them. Get it? Like, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Like, you have people who will sit there and go, well, that's the way the world works. So now I'm going to scam them in doing this, and I'm going to create something that is going to make me money now because everyone else is going out and doing that. And yeah, it's not 100% right. The values aren't 100% there. You're not creating all of these things that people care about. And so that's why I'm saying it's influence, but it's influence based on your reaction.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. My third question. What's the most powerful or painful thing someone has ever said to you, and how did it shape who you are today? Powerful or painful? First thing that comes to your mind.
Well, I think we go back to the question that I've just asked before. The most powerful thing that has ever been said to me was that I was a failure and that I would never achieve anything successful in my life. My teacher used to call me like an idiot. And I don't think anybody has really believed in what I could achieve in my life. So rather than what people said to you that was a powerful motivator, what people didn't say to you.
Are you rephrasing my question? Are you changing my question?
Yes. So,
typical Gen. Gen Z or doesn't want to answer the question directly, changes it for themselves. No.
Well, because like for me, what motivated me the most was what I have not heard during my life. I've never.
Well, that's not the question.
Okay.
The question is, what is the most powerful or, what is the most powerful or painful thing someone has said to you? So maybe it is the answer. Maybe that is the answer. Maybe your answer is that it hasn't been said and that's been painful. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah. So I would say that the answer to this is that I don't think there has been a person in my life that has completely changed how I shaped my existence in my life. Perhaps the most powerful thing that has shaped myself came directly from me.
Okay.
And maybe it was, again, you are not good enough. That was really what shaped my existence into becoming the person that I'm not today. The incapabilities of relating with, for example, what the other people were feeling in the high school, what the other people were feeling in the workplace. I had a lot of friends in cybersecurity who were like top of their sector, knowing already when I was 21. I'm talking about knowing that already were working or making good salary, and I was there, sitting with them. That the only thing I had to talk about was nothing.
All right. So, well, good answer. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
No, I think it's your answer.
You don't like my first.
There's no wrong or right answer. I think it's yours. We do have 20 minutes, so let's answer these ones and close it off. Okay. 2-minute answers each.
Okay, so now we touch a concept that is really powerful to me. It's really important to me. I mentioned before that, or I don't know if I mentioned, but a person shouldn't be only motivated by his work. A person, an individual, should have a balance between his work and his personal life, between his love and his dedication to work. So the question is, what would you be without your merits, without your success, without your work? What would define you as an individual without basically...
So we're stripping that out, stripping my success, my work, my employment.
Would you still be happy?
I think you need to find happiness in anything that you do. And so your work and what you do in life, you can find happiness in everything that you do. I think it's a hard question to say. Not a hard question to say, a hard question to answer in the sense of, if you're isolating and trying to say, remove this layer of who you are and your identity and tell me, would you be happy? And I think the correct thing for that wouldn't be removing that layer. You can remove that layer and it's like, well, now you've got to deal with this, find happiness within that. And I think because you can find happiness in everything that you can do, there are layers to every individual. And depending on what that layer is and what those circumstances, you've got to celebrate the small wins. You've got to celebrate the moments in life and you've got to create that happiness. You're in control of your destiny and your emotions as much as, I struggle with mental health issues and a lot of other people do as well. We all do, actually. Every human will have peaks and troughs in life. And I think you can control what you allow to affect you and what you allow not to affect you. So yes, I think you can.
Okay.
Find happiness. If you could wake up tomorrow with any superpower, what would it be and how would you use it to change the world around you?
I think you already asked me this question. And
when?
Co-working. Okay.
No, I haven't.
Okay, wait. Even if you ask me, you find me off guard. 1 second. So superpower. I mean, of course, if I can choose whichever superpower, okay.
So you can create the superpower.
I can create the superpower. Okay. Yes.
We don't have time to dwell.
Oh no!
First one, come on.
I was actually thinking about this. Okay, I was actually thinking about this today. Okay, so the answer would be, I want to be able to control my level of intelligence to match specific situation.
So wouldn't you just want to be the smartest person then?
No, because if I choose to be the smartest person, I will renounce to my happiness, because it has been shown a correlation between IQ and your level of happiness. So if I choose to be the smarter person, then I'm unhappy.
Because you're the superpower. See, this is a very analytical, and you're going on the basis that you can't be smart and be happy.
I don't want to choose. This is my superpower, excuse me. So I want, okay, so if I can choose the level of how smart I can be smart enough to solve the water crisis if I have enough emotional intelligence to convince people. Okay, so I have like different switch, one for emotional intelligence, one for intelligence to convince everybody. Okay.
Why don't you just have high EQ and high IQ?
Because again, that comes with consequences.
Says who?
I can.
Says who?
Sense science. Maybe you haven't read the papers.
Maybe you haven't.
Yes, exactly.
Maybe you need to send them to me.
Exactly. So I can make my IQ higher for a specific task. Okay. And then lower it again when I want to spend time with my, okay, this sounds rude, but spend time with people in general.
Where's the ego button? We need an ego button.
Okay, because
so you want to lower when you need to be surrounded by people.
Correct. And I don't want to live eternally, because that would cause a lot of pain in my life. I've seen too many superstar movies about this. So I would say that is my answer today. I mean, you do like this.
Okay, your turn.
No, it's don't you agree with this?
No.
Okay.
I don't.
You can have your superpowers. I have this.
No, I don't agree with the concept. Like I think you can be really smart and intelligent with a high EQ and a high IQ. If it's your superpower to have that, your superpower means that with whatever consequences come with that, you get to remove, because it's your superpower. And then you get to also then change people and adapt to them and their requirements and help them grow.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very egoistical superpower, to be honest, because I couldn't wish for everybody. But this is the first thing that came to my mind.
Okay, good. Okay. Your last question for me.
Oh, yes, this is the last question. Okay. This is very interesting. And I need you to reflect about society. I need to give you an insight about society for this question.
In 1 minute.
How do you feel about the narrative, hard work equals success?
Love it.
That's your answer. You love it.
It's true. I think at the end of the day, hard work equals success, and you need to have hard work to do things. If everything comes easy in life, it's not good. In the sense that everyone should have to work and put in the same amount of effort to be able to be the success that they want to be within that area. Competition is good. You need to work hard to maintain your number one position for the period that you're going to have it, because you're never going to maintain number one position. The number one podcast is never going to be the number one podcast for forever, and so forth in life. So I think if you need to work hard, but I believe everyone should be able to get the tools to work hard in that. And so what I'm saying on top of that, and I know you've got something to say back, where I expand on that is not everyone wants to be a CEO. Not everyone wants to be a celebrity. Not everyone wants to be these ideas of what success is. Success is different and defined by each individual. Someone can be the best janitor that they ever want to be, and they'll work hard at doing that job, and they will be sweet. But if anyone could just flick a switch and say, I'm now going to be a CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company, I'm going to do this, and it wasn't hard, everyone would do it, and then there would be an imbalance in life. And I think that's the realities of what it is. If becoming a billionaire was so easy, then everyone would be a billionaire.
Okay, so there's a lot to be said, but I'll be short, saying that I completely disagree with this point. It was a loaded question. It was
a loaded question. Yes. Tell me why.
Well, because I have studied like society behavior in general, and like, okay.
So you've studied society's behavior.
I mean, in a philosophical term, okay, in a physical term, okay.
So, even all the studies that you would have read around society's behavior is only.
Can you let me finish first?
Is only a lensed view.
Of course. From my point of view.
So I'll let you finish.
From my point of view, I believe if you say so, you're completely disregarding the privilege that you have. And I know this is a word that you might not like because you are one of the person that didn't have the privilege that others.
But I still had more privilege than what others have. And I understand that. Yeah.
So if you take, for example, people in difficult situation, like from a different part of your world, so not in Australia, in South Africa, they didn't have access to water, that in the morning, maybe they could be more smarter than us. But in the morning, instead of reading books, instead of going to school, they had to walk miles and miles to get some water for their family, or people who just couldn't access any type of books because there wasn't an economic possibility. Those people that we ignore, that are in the last chapter of every books. I believe those people don't have access to possibilities, even if they work as hard as we do. And if they could, they needed to work harder than we are right now.
100%. And so that's what exactly my answer was.
Yes. So
the answer wasn't. So the answer is you don't make everything easy for everyone to become the CEO and a billionaire. Mm-hmm. Absolutely not. However, there are things in life that need to be harder and that you need to work for, because it needs to weed out the people who don't have the tenacity, who don't have the resilience, who don't have the emotional intelligence to be able to be in that position to achieve that high office or high whatever it is, so that they've developed along their journey those lessons that they have. When you're talking about poverty, that's where meritocracy comes into place. And
you can't solve poverty with meritocracy.
No, but listen to what I'm saying. Stop coming up with an answer and trying to disagree with me straight away. What I'm saying is those people in those situations and those poverties should have an equal footing to everyone else. This was instilled in me in Australia when I worked for the National Disability Insurance Scheme. The whole scheme, even though it's a shit show at the moment because the government's completely fucked it up, and it's nowhere near as what it should be, and it's lost its purpose. But the whole purpose is not to put people who are disabled on a platform above everyone else and everyone else in society. It's around saying, hey, you can't do these things because of your disability. So let us help you build capacity and let us give you resources that help you get to the median and so that you can live as much as possible the average life around that. And that's what Australia's kind of system is, even though it's very corrupt at the moment and not achieving what it should be achieving. And that's not just in the NDIS, but in other parts. But that intent is what it was there for. And so meaning that people who come from homeless in Australia, who may find themselves homeless, we need to figure out how can we help build their capacity and help them get them up to where everyone else, or that average that we want society to be around. And then for those people that want to overcome those barriers where they face it, to also have the same opportunities as those who didn't have those barriers to face it, to even go above and beyond and have those higher offices. And I think, like, we look at some of the movements that happen in the world, and whilst there are still gaps in some parts of that, there are people who are now going on these far left or far right ventures and putting themselves on a pedestal, giving themselves better opportunities. And what happens is people who don't get to live in that situation don't get to have that as well. So, yeah, I think...
I mean, yeah, we could discuss a lot about this, but yeah.
Anyway, my last question for you is, when you look back at your journey, what's the first pinch me moment that you think of? Wow, pinch me moment, going, wow, I really did that.
Okay. I guess my really pinch me moment will come for you because I never actually had a mentor figure in my life.
Oh, what a way to end.
So you made me notice that I wasn't as good as networking as I thought I was, because I've always been, I come from a small city in Italy. I didn't have a lot of connections. So the only people that I could relate to in my area where our journey was completely different, and that was that of a business owner. So I would say it would come from you when you said that my ego was too big. And that might seem like a joke, but I'm very privileged, and I agree, and humbled around that. But I also think that there are plenty of pinch me moments that you've had in life where you're like, hey, I'm here in Dubai. Actually, I do have an answer. And this comes directly from my two best friends. And they made me realize how of an idiot in terms of emotional intelligence I was. Actually, you didn't do anything for me. the merit goes to them.
Okay,
and
good.
They completely shaped me into a different person, because previously, I wasn't aware on how to treat people in general, of how I made them feel with my statements. And after a lot of cries, after a lot of arrogance that I generated towards them, they made me see a completely different point of view. And I think I owe all of that I am today to them.
Yeah.
Just because of they are both of them are girls. So as a privileged white man, they completely bring a new perspective into my life that I didn't consider.
Awesome. I love that. I want to close things out with two final thoughts.
Jokes. No.
One is a quote that I seen that I thought was very relevant to you and me when I was younger at 23. It's from Keanu Reeves, even though I don't think he's the only person that has said this, but he was quoted. And it says, try to be wrong every once in a while. It will do your ego good. So if I could give advice through Keanu Reeves, it would be like, the second one is, hey, this is my perfume brand, and I'm going to put a plug into my perfume brand, and they're all different. Which one's your favorite?
The U.
Why?
Because it has hormones that makes me feel attractive.
Okay. What story does it ignite in you? If you could tell the story about you and why you wear it, what would it be?
Well, if you want to lay down with someone, go with Unity Sense. It changed my life.
Is that how you picked up the girl?
I went from -1 to 0 girls a year.
Wow, that was not staged at all. That'll be good feedback. All right, well, any final thoughts? Close us out here. Come on, close it off.
Can I close with a joke?
We started with one, so we must as well end.
This is even more terrible than the others. So, and I stole this from a book. Okay, so there are two people in the world. One lives, let's say, in Australia, and is like, a trampoline. Like it says, how do you call the people that walk on?
Is it a 60-second joke?
Yes. How do you call those people that walk on a straight line from building to building, trying to maintain
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yes. And on the other part of the world, there is a person who is receiving a sexual performance from an old lady. Okay.
For free.
So what do they all think in the same moment, at the same time?
I don't know.
Don't look down.
Oh my God. With that, thank you, Alessandro. I think my final thoughts is I've absolutely loved getting to know you over the last month that I've been here. I think we'll be friends for life, and I can't see
the progress. Sure.
I can't wait to see the progress of where you're going to be in 10 years' time from now.
Thank you, Joshua. The same goes for me. I don't know what to say.
Thank you.